Today, we're going to finish what started 2,000 years ago on Mount Carmel in Israel. This is ancient Roman glass, and this was made in Israel about 2,000 years ago, and it was made on Mount Carmel. Now, it's got this bluish tint because of the copper that they would add into the system or add into the furnace while they were making the glass. It's really cool. It's about around the time that Jesus Christ walked the earth. I think it would be cool to cut this into a nice little fastening design and give it to my wife. Now, I think the hardest part about fastening is picking out a design. It's really the hardest thing for me so far. And fortunately for me, though, I do have this nifty little tool that I can use that always seems to pick out the right designs for me, or it picks out ones that are absolute headaches, and I swear off them and never want to do them again. So, and that nifty little tool is called my wife. So, I'm going to show you the design that she picked out for us to do for this piece right here. It's a cool little heart here, but what it also has, it has some frosting on it. If you see that kind of darked in line right there, that's actually the frosting design for it. What frosting is whenever you cut it with a lesser grit so you don't polish it all the way. So it almost looks like frosted. You know, it almost looks like a frosted window almost. I've never done frosting designs before. This will actually be my first one I've ever done. And of course, my wife would choose it to be one of the coolest pieces of fastening rough I've gotten. Now, what's the difference between this and other ancient Roman glass that you see online? Well, number one, it's real. Number two, so I got this from Joe Henley. If you want a reliable, reputable guy that almost every fastener knows, he's not going to give you fake stuff. This is the real stuff. But also another cool thing is that it's pretty clean. A lot of ancient Roman glass that you find is cracked, withered in some way. It's not really good to be faceted or even really cabochoned. That's why you see it like as the rough pieces, or if you do see it, it's like little shards here and there, and they glue it and epoxy it. So this, just finding it like in this state is pretty cool. And we're going to fasten it and get it nice and pretty looking. Our first step now, after we found the right design, is to make sure the design's going to fit on this. And I've already looked and seen if it could. And yes, this absolutely could fit. So another step right now is to actually rough out. What I mean by that is I'm going to actually sand down one with a 600 grit on either side. So that way we can put some dops on it. All right. And we can dop this up and we can go ahead and start doing our preforming. So let's go ahead and do that. And all we're doing with this is we're getting it somewhat flat so we can dop it. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat at all. Just enough when we do dop it, it's gonna take. Then I'm actually gonna find a right. Angle to put it on, which will probably be this side because it seems to be cutting a lot better on this side. So, and I'll probably get it nice and flatter here. But what I want to do is I just want to get those ridges and valleys off. So whenever I do place the dot down, it's going to sit at least somewhat flush. So that way we can do it that way. I'm going to actually turn this up. And while I do that, how about we show some pictures of Mount Carmel in Israel? It's getting there. I mean, it's really getting there. I think we need to order some more from Joe Henley and cut Mom a piece as a thank you. Are you okay with that? So what we got here is we got it on the dop already. And if you can't tell, the stone runs kind of diagonal in the way it runs. I don't know if it's actually going to work or not. We're actually losing a lot through this diagonal run here. So it's a little weird. I tried to flatten it out as much as I could without doing too much to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to start cutting and see if we can't get this to turn into that heart shape. With everything, and there's a risk to losing the stone, it get messed up, everything like that. But I have good feelings that maybe we'll make it through this. But stick with us and we'll find out. As I was cutting the cullet point here, I realized that there's a pretty big gap there. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little stressful for me. I don't know if that gap is so huge that I will not have enough stone to finish what I need to do. Worst thing happens is we run out of stone. Best thing happens is it works, and we'll have to figure out another way if it doesn't after that. But this is why it can get a little frustrating and a little aggravating to facet sometimes. But I'm hoping we will have enough to finish this project and to do the heart that my wife wishes to have. I don't have my mic on. I look disheveled. Part of that is with having a newborn and all. And then doing this, I fully didn't expect to get on camera tonight. And we're going to put this in the video where I left off here. I know people would say put it at the end, have it like a realization thing at the end. I don't want to do that because it's not natural and it's not right. Sitting here cutting through this Roman glass, I kept just kind of running my mind, this is over 2,000 years old. And then I kept running through my mind, this is over 2,000 years old and was fire kilned in Israel, specifically Mount Carmel. As a man, who was born in South Carolina, as a man who has done a lot of sinning in his past, as a man who ain't the best representation of Christ. He ain't the best Christ-like man. I guess I ain't the best Christ-like man. Jesus is just the best Christ-like man because he is Christ. For God to have this in my path is extremely, not only just humbling, but unexpected, grateful. I was a kid that was going to join the Marine Corps and retire from the Marine Corps and maybe join the police force. You know, something completely opposite of what I'm doing today. Or I was going to play baseball, you know, something like that. And I did join the Marine Corps, and I got out. I worked on some leather working for a while. But this was something David would have never told you. I know I keep talking in the third person. I ain't trying to be pretentious. I'm trying to talk about myself in the past. But me in the past, how about that? Me in the past would have never, ever thought he would be doing. Didn't even know growing up around here, it's mainly just, you know, white rocks. You know, because we're close to the ocean, relatively close, but they're just white rocks. You know, I did crack open rocks when I was a kid, but just to see this like seashell patterns in them. So to see this and to be doing this, and how God has a plan for you, even when you think your life is not going the way you want it to. It's extremely humbling to me. I am touching something as a Christian man that is around the time Jesus Christ was walking on this earth performing miracles. And something that was worked on relatively near, you know, close. It's amazing. Again, God's humbled me, and he finds ways to do that with me all the time, and I am appreciative of this. But if it's in the Lord's will, I would love to make this and make it look amazing. But the fact that he even has me touching this is awesome. And my goal right now is to finish what I'm doing with this right here, get it as looking as beautiful as I possibly can, and finishing this Roman Glasses piece of journey that started around the time our Lord and Savior walked on this earth and was raising Lazarus from the grave and being crucified upon the cross. So I know some people's probably going to pick on me for getting emotional about this, but this is huge. It's a big moment. I didn't even know it getting into it. Couldn't even comprehend it, but just sitting here, it really does make you think. Yeah. So, all right, let's get back to it. So what we got here is we got the girdle completed. There's a little spot that goes further past, and I think that's due to because I read the instructions and it just seems weird. It says to cut past it to the P2, so P1, P2. I did that, but I knocked out my girdle almost completely, so I had to go back and try to recut it a little bit without cutting into the other girdle here. But that's the only one that's actually messed up like that. Like on the other side, great, perfect. You know what I mean? And I think that's the side there. So great and perfect. It's just that one for some reason. I don't understand why. But we're going to try to work past that. The only reason I'm not going to go and recut it again and try to rework it again is because the glue that's holding it onto the dop is getting pretty thin, and I'd rather just leave it the way it is and try to work around it than have to cut the whole thing all over again. And hopefully it won't affect it too terribly bad since it's just one minor thing. So yeah, let's move on and continue our pavilion cutting, and then I'll do a little more of a video on that and kind of walk you through the steps on that and show more footage of that. But also after that we can transfer it to the crown, hopefully start getting this thing done. So what we're about to do right now is we're about to go ahead and cut the rest of the pavilion. We only have about 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and those rows are relatively small and minor cuts. So I'm thinking maybe we'll have about an hour and a half to finish cutting this particular area. And then once we're done with that, we can actually start with our transfer. And since these are small, minor cuts, what I'm actually going to do is, instead of going through all the plates again, I'm going to start on this blue plate and cut very minorly, or cut very small. And we do our small cuts, and then we'll polish from there. The main reason that is because you can overcut. If you use that 600 grit lap, you can really overcut past what you're wanting to do. And these cuts are particularly small that it wouldn't be, the quickness of it wouldn't really help with you having to come back and redo it all over again. So we got it set for 64.01. We're wanting to go to 64.00, and as I push down, it will go to 64.00. I'm gonna go ahead and start the water. Get that dripping. I need to slow it down a little bit. There we go. Now we're gonna lower this down until we make contact. Now, just hit the bar there, so we're gonna see it. There we go. That's all it needed. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and put it on 22. Little run in here. I may have to put that little sponge back there because a little plastic piece here is getting in the way. So let's go ahead and lower it down again a little bit more. There we go. And what we're going to do with this, we're just going to try to level that girdle off as best as we can. We're just trying to level that girdle off like we did just there. That's how quick of a cut you really have to do with these things. I mean, they're quick. We're just going to try to level that girdle off again. Just one more little touch. Now we're going to move to a 54. 54. We're just going to touch it and go. This will make a big difference when you're actually cutting your girdle later on, like cutting your C1 and C2, your crown cuts, to get everything flat and level, it'll make a difference later on, because you want a narrow, small girdle, because it will help the jewelers then be able to set it. And I do plan on getting this set for my wife. She gets the first of every, new thing I do, and this is definitely new for me. So, and I believe that's it. All right. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm actually gonna go ahead and turn this off. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off and then replace the plate with a higher grip plate. This little plate here. And even with these plates, I'm gonna move extremely, like, micro movements. Just a little, and that's it. That's all I'll probably need. These cuts are so small, I doubt anybody would even really notice if I didn't polish them up. They're that tiny, but we'll notice, and us noticing is a big deal, right? So I will say where I did mess up, though. I did mess up with one of them, and that was a girdle cut. I messed up on, but I'm afraid if I push it too far, push the issue too far, to pop off the top, and then we'll have to, recut this over again, lose a lot of stone, or lose a lot of this Roman glass, and that's something I definitely don't want to do at all. We're going to be pretty cautious. And that's all we really need. I'm gonna check just to make sure. Let's see. We had 54. I want to head back to 54. Actually, just give that one more little run. Now we're gonna run her back on the plate again. Get her looking nice and polished. Ooh, y'all. I ain't trying to brag, but this thing sure is pretty. But I'm hoping, I pray that we do it right. And if it does end up good, trust me, it ain't due to any of my talents. It's due to God. It's due to God allowing me to do this. He's working through me. So, I'll be honest with you, I've always thought I was terrible at this. I prayed on it, and He's answered it. I've gotten very, very good recently, and I think it's all due to God, to be honest. But we're going to go back to our blue 1200 plate. We're going to go ahead and turn ours to 28. We got it at 28, and we're going to do 62.14 for our angle. So let's go ahead. Let's see, 6214, 28. Let's see. All right, so we got 28. Let's move to 36. See how 36 looks. Now 36, for some reason, looks a lot better than 28. Let's making me think the 28's a little off. Let's do 60, see how 60 looks. She's looking a little off too. So maybe just be something we're gonna have to work out. That's 60. Let's look at 68. See if that helps anything. I mean, 68's looking pretty good. Huh. So 2 looks off. 2 of them looks off. The rest look fine. So it's got to be a cut in there somewhere. But I don't know where exactly that cut in there could be. Actually, I think I screwed all that up whenever I was saying I messed up. Actually, I don't think I did mess up. I think I was doing 2 sides of the same coin there, and I didn't realize that's what I was supposed to be doing. That's my brain shot. Yeah, that's what was happening, and I actually did it great. So I'm a little crazy. I apologize. I do feel that it's starting to come loose from this glue though. So I will have to probably not do so many plates just to try to save the glue as much as I can. I'm gonna try my best and actually, yeah, I feel it coming loose. So I won't even be checking it now, just to try to save as much as I can from it. What I even do is I may not even run the lap, since this is such a small piece there. I may not even run the lap. What I may do is just do that right there and polish it up like that and see if that won't help. Yeah, that'll do fine. That'll do fine. So 36. And we're just gonna do like that. 36, 60, because the less vibrations we got, the better off we're gonna be. 60. And the vibrations does make the glue brittle. So, and for little tiny pieces like that, I mean, you can use water. I do and don't sometimes for little tiny. If I'm gonna be doing a lot of cuts, I'll put some water on there and go across it like that, but it doesn't have to every time. There we go. 63. Even. I'm gonna go 1 above. Well, actually, since the glue's brittle, it might pop off. I'm not gonna do 1 above. I'm actually just gonna set it back at 1 neutral. And I'm gonna lower it down a little bit. There we go. Till it just barely touches. And this is where y'all wish me luck on what we're about to do. So we're gonna go to 08. 08. And just kind of look and see where that's gonna take us. Oh, 08. Actually, I went ahead and cut 08. No, we didn't need to do 88. Let's look at 08. You know, I might do some water on there. Just to kind of help out a little bit. And this is because, again, the glue's brittle, but also we're kind of doing some aggressive cuts on this. Or, you know, we're doing minor cuts. And we don't want to be too aggressive with it. That way it doesn't, we don't push too far past. And we are getting near the end of this pavilion. Move to our other plate. Now dip our fingers in. There we go. All right, so we got that. Now we're gonna move to our 50,000 grit lap. So this is our pre-polish. We're gonna move to our final polish, which is our 50,000 grit. I might have went to a cerium oxide if the glue wasn't weakening, but since it is, we will not do that. I'm not sure if it actually even gives too much of a benefit, to be honest, but you know, I don't mind cutting it. I don't mind doing the extra plate if it does help, but if it doesn't, still, it makes me feel better. But in circumstances like these, to where it could literally just come off the dop at any moment, I'm not going to take too many risks. Last one is 48, and we're doing a 64 degree on there. 64 degree. There we go. 64 at a 48 on the index dial. So what that's gonna do is it's hopefully gonna lower this little lip up here down just where we need it. And I'm just gonna grind it down manually. And yeah, that's doing the job. So I'm gonna go ahead and re-wet this right here. And I'm just gonna grind it down manually. And see if we can't get it flattened out right there. A lot of these are micro, so you may not see them. That's okay. These are mainly cut to even out the stone. Now they do give design and stuff like that, but it's to mainly even it out, get it looking nice and flat. But I actually learned this from Vintage Time with smaller stones. It's actually sometimes better to facet without the motor going, just by hand, with real tiny stones. I'm not saying this is a tiny stone, but I'm saying when you're doing fine detail, smaller stones, things like that. Let's see, we are actually running pretty well right now. We are about done. Actually, this will be our last one, our last facet on the pavilion, which is kind of exciting. And I'll get a close-up for y'all. And that's our close-up right there. It's looking pretty cool. If I do say so myself, that's her on the glass so far. She is looking pretty. So we're going to go ahead and start the transfer now to the cone dop and hopefully get this thing cut and then get it set in something beautiful. So here we go. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this out of the dop. What I like to do is I like to put it back on 96, and that's my vertical straight up, I know that. And then I got my handy dandy transfer jig. Hopefully it won't misalign. Next step, pretty important step, know where your matching dops are. So we want our dops to match when we do transfers, because if not, it could skew and transfer over not the best. And I'm actually going to look at this. Let's see. So it's about halfway on there. So it's about halfway on there. What I'm going to do as well is I am going to use some epoxy 330. So since this is a new thing of epoxy 330, what you can do is, you see that right there? It's actually used to put a hole in it so the epoxy can come out. Pretty cool, huh? I don't know why I never thought about it until I finally was shown, but I never thought about it. But it puts a nice big hole in there. So what we're going to do is go ahead and mix these up. I do want to mix up a little more hardener than I did last time, because last time it was still somewhat soft after a few days, and I didn't mix them up equally is the problem. Put it in that cone dop after we mix it up real good. This happy little bonding agent right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this out right here. Remember, I got it at 96, right? And it faces up. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on there with it facing up at 96. I'm going to tighten it down. And then I'm going to put some of this happy little bonding agent right here in the cone. Just like that. And I'm going to lower it down. And I'm going to push it down. What's cool about this little transfer jig is after I push it down, I'm actually going to lock it with this wheel here. Right? So, let me show you. I'm going to push it down. I'm going to lock it. So that way, as the epoxy dries, it doesn't lift the stone up or adjust it to move to it. It should seal everything in together, just as we put it in there. So we get a nice good hold, I hope. I'm going to put a little more on there. And while this dries, will be a perfect opportunity for y'all to go check out my friends at Copper Canyon Lapidary. Now, I do not get paid nothing for this. Do not get paid anything at all. But they're friends of mine, and I want their business to not only be thriving like it, or not only be, you know, doing well like it is, but I want it to become something even better. And if I can help in any way, that would make me happy. Go to my friends at Copper Canyon Lapidary and use the promo code ElegantPebble15 for 15% off on all your purchases there. Really good people. I make not a dime for this, not a penny, nothing like that. They're just good friends of ours who I think good people should have good things done for them in return. And what little audience I do have, if you want to get some crystals, Even if you're not into cutting them, just get some because they look cool and stuff like that. Go to their store. They're great people. I don't have a bad word to say about them. So you go over there to them. They got some really cool selections of rough as well. Let them know that Elegant Pebble sent you. And back to the video. We're going to wait for this epoxy to dry. And I need to at least wait for it to dry until it stops moving. That's the big thing. And this epoxy does get affected pretty well by gravity. But we need to wait for it to stop moving. Because we don't want it to get down into the gums and the workings of our transfer jig, or we're going to have a very hard time trying to clean it out. If you leave any glue in there, anything like that, it may off skew your transfer. You'll be using this little fella a lot. It's called Cheater. You're going to be moving it left and right, trying to find the right angle. No matter what, you're going to be doing that. But it's still a lot easier. We're going to go ahead and continue letting this kind of sit and letting it do what it's going to do, and we'll come back when it's dry. So what we're doing here is we are now transferred over right here. It's all in the dot. We're transferred over. It's all right here in the dot. Everything's cinched down, ready to go. What we need to do is, with our cheater, we need to make sure that everything is level now, right? One way that I've been doing is cutting it all the way around, looking. I found what seems to be a way that everybody does it online, and it's cut one facet and then cut the last facet. All right, so we're there. And we need 28 as our first one. So we got 28 here. So let's see how this works out. I'll just lower it down a little bit more. There we go. We're going to see. And I may not even cut all the way down. You know what I mean? I may cut a little bit, but not all the way down. Just so we can kind of see here if this is even going to work. We're just working this back, seeing if it works. I'm actually getting a pretty strange feeling that it might be good. So, who knows? It would probably be better to do this with like a standard round Brilliant to practice with and to start with, but I think since we're using what we're using, I don't think there's any problem with it so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and redo our girdle. So I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to work around and see if that doesn't help us out some on the... I went to 21. I need to go to 28. It's all right. It'll be all right. 'Cause I'll just cut it down a little bit farther. It should be all right. See, this is why I check. This is why I check. And I should have known to, but I didn't. Let's see, hold on a second. I actually may have come across something. That's 28. We'll go back to 22. let's see how that lines up. Oh yeah, because it's not going to line up completely because we're not at the right depth. Okay, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. Let's go back to 28. Now's not the time to start screwing things up. Let's see, so we're going to go to 36 now. Let's see what 36 is going to get us. 36, just like that. That easy, huh? Yep, I think we're okay. Starting to look pretty good. All right, so now we're going to go from 60 to 68. And we're going to look and see just how much we established. Girdle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to 60. Cut that back down a little bit more. And see if we can't get some things to line up exactly the way we need to. Yeah, because it's lining up now exactly where it needs to be. So that makes me wonder about some things. That's all right. So we'll go ahead and we'll finish working on the girdle. If anything comes up, I will most definitely turn the camera back on and talk with y'all. But right now, everything seems to be going pretty well, and we'll work our way around this. So let's go ahead and get this was it C1 through C8 done, and who knows, maybe we can get the crown done tonight. It's supposed to snow tomorrow, so I would like to take that day and spend it with my wife and my newborn son, which I am extremely happy about. He is an awesome little man, and we are both very happy parents. So yeah. All right, so we got the girdle all level, and surprisingly, this was actually really level from start to finish. No real adjustments needed, so that's pretty cool. Rarely do I have that happen. That's the top view of it right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on and cut with the 1200 grit. See if we can't get this polished up throughout all the plates. And we'll see you back when it's time to cut our frosted cuts. And ladies and gentlemen, we're actually getting through this pretty quick. I'm actually pretty surprised about it. So how quick and how well it's going. I do need to make that girdle a little more narrow when it comes to this, so we will be cutting it down with that 1200 grit since it's little micro cuts. But yeah, it's looking good so far. We're gonna have it looking nice and pretty before you know it. And let's go ahead and continue with our plates, get some footage of that, and then we'll do our specific frosted cuts. So I know we're not set up yet. Yep, we're still at 74, so we need to go to 18. Booyah. Check in, 18, yep. And now we're at 3302, which is where we need to be. I'm just going to lower it down. Now that it's this little bite into things, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting at 18. Lower it down a little bit. Cut it a little bit at a time. I have to be careful doing it this way because you're more likely to pop it off the top if you're not supporting it. So, and I do like getting my stuff done the right way the first time if I can. It's hot in here, but that's because the side of the house is right next to a heater. The outside unit, outside package. Since it's snowing and pretty daggum cold, that thing's working overtime to keep the rest of the house cold. So it's alright as long as everybody else is toasty and happy. There we go. And she's starting to look pretty good so far. I mean, again, it is glass. I mean, it's ancient Roman glass. Fancy. But it is glass. It's not like it's the hardest thing in the world to cut, but it is something I don't want to mess up or lose, to be honest. Mainly because of the significance of it, you know. Made on Mount Carmel around the time Jesus Christ walked the earth. I mean, somebody asked me, you know, you think it's a scam? If I'd have bought it from anybody else, I would think it was a scam. And by somebody, I mean my dad. He asked me, do you think that's a scam? And I said, well, if I bought it from somebody else, I'd probably thought it was a scam. But since it comes from Joe Henley, not really. He's like, he's a good name. And rough and everything like that, and faceted. Well, just gemstones in general. He's a real good name in it. And so, from some other people, no, I probably wouldn't have bought it, but coming from him, I do. Which, that goes to show you that a good name can get you far in this business. Because people are willing to trust you more. Because you built up a reputation of being not trustworthy, which he is, but, you know, reputable. So you may not trust him, but other people do, and that's pretty good in a world like this, to where friend and foe could be not very easy to discern. But things seem to be going okay for the most part right now. My hope is I can take it all the way to my 50,000 grit. See how that works out. I will say this about newborns too, or at least with him. Very, very dramatic, and I don't mean like but like if he's missing his bottle, right? He just wakes up and he's barely like 10 seconds into waking up, and if his bottle isn't there, the boy cries like hell has come to earth and demons are spawning all around him. And then as soon as that nipple from that bottle touches his lips, bam, just and that's it. So, and I laugh whenever it happens. Like, you fat boy, but he's just like his daddy. I get cranky when I'm hungry, and as soon as I'm eating, I'm like, you know what? Today's a pretty good day after all. You know what I mean? I can't blame them all too much. I cannot blame that little man all too much. I will say this. I think it's every father's hope or dream that their son does better than them. And that is most definitely my dream for little man. I hope he does better than his daddy. Which I'm not a bad person or anything, it just whatever he does. Which, I mean, part of me, I'll be honest with you, part of me really would love to see him become a preacher. You know, I would consider that much better than his daddy. Much better than my daddy. You know, boy becomes a preacher. Another thing is if he gets saved. That's a pretty big deal to me. I want him to get saved. So that way, you know, when death does come calling for me, whenever that may be, and it's time for me to move on up to heaven and be with some of the people in my family and stuff like that, I can kind of go, you like me? You remember me. Wait until you see little man. Wait till you see my boy get up here. You're gonna love him. I think as a Christian man, that's, if you're saved and you're not a cultural Christian, but you are a Christian, I think that's a lot of our dreams, is that our kids get saved and our families are saved. It's one of the things I was told a lot, and this is gonna sound weird, but or maybe it won't. But when I got saved, my grandpa, who was having some medical problems at the time, he pretty much raised me a lot. I was always at Grandma and Grandpa's growing up. And he raised me up a lot. We'd listen to the radio, and the birds would come and sit on his Jeep rear side mirrors, and he'd feed them bread and stuff. He was a good guy. It really amazed me. But when he was getting on in his older years, and I just got out of the Marine Corps not long, and I sit down with him in his room, because he was kind of getting immobile at that time. Or not immobile, but he was not going out like he would and doing like he would. It was about maybe 9 months before he died, maybe 6, and his hip was hurting him, and he son, I don't think I'm going to have much longer on this earth. And it was one of those things where I went, well, Grandpa, are you saved? And he said, yeah. As far as I know, I'm saved. I said, well, do you believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God? He said, yeah. Have you repented of your sins and turned away from them? Yeah. So I was like, well, Grandpa, what are you worried about then? He goes, I'm not worried. I'm just talking. Okay. Well, I said, Grandpa, my main concern is that you're saved. I go, because that way you're not gone. You know, you're just in heaven. You know, and then when I die, we'll be in heaven together. So it won't be, and I was like, in the grand scheme of things, eternity, us being gone away from each other, you know, him passing away and me still being alive. I said, that's not very long. I said, but I want you to be saved, so, you know, there's heaven for you, there's no hell. And he goes, I'm saved. I went, okay. Well, turns out he was right. 6-9 months later, the month before he passed away, maybe a few weeks before he passed away, he fell and broke his hip. And they were doing tests on him. And they were keeping him for a long time at the hospital. I was like, maybe. And they're like, they're just doing extra tests. I think people didn't want to tell me because they knew how close me and Grandpa was. So they didn't want to tell me for whatever reason. Maybe Grandpa told him not to tell me. So I go up there and I'm visiting with him, and you know, I got Maddie, my little service dog, there with me, and she's in there and he's feeding her pancakes and he's just loving it, laughing, and we're picking back and forth and stuff like that. The Lord was there with me at that time. And then I find out, no, he's dying. And then I find out a little bit after, well, I figured out that he had pancreatic cancer. And I mean, it was a week. No, not even a week. Maybe 3 days, 4 days. I found this out and he was gone. Passed away. But it wasn't the last things I asked him before he died. Before they put him in that little morphine thing to make him comfortable and sleep throughout it. I said, Grandpa, I'm going to ask you again, are you saved? He said, yeah. So I was happy about that. And then I told him, if I am half the daddy that you were a grandpa, I'll be happy. And I think that, and I love you, was one of the last things I ever said to him. I know it was a weird getting off into the woods subject, but it just popped in my head. I miss him. Little did I know how much I would miss him. But I miss him every day. And that's okay. Because that missing him won't last forever. One day, I will have heaven and glory to be with him. And then I can show him his grandson, or his great-grandson. I can show him his great-grandson, which will be a hoot. I know we probably won't be able to do any fishing or anything like that up in heaven because nothing's supposed to be in pain in there, up there. And then when the new heaven and earth, nothing's supposed to be in pain. It's supposed to be perfect. There's no death, nothing like that. But who knows? I'm sure there'll be things to do and sports to play and games to play and things like that. And it'll just be more perfect. But maybe showing him, being able to play with his grandpa, or his grandpa, my daddy, my grandpa, my daddy's daddy, and then me and my son playing sports and games together with everybody up in heaven, with even relatives I ain't never knew, like my great-great-grandpa. That would be something. But yeah, long tangent just to go. When you get saved, one of your main goals is that the people you love are saved. But I agree, maybe we should want more people to get saved than just the ones we love. But what I'm saying is that's a good start. But that's how I am with my son. I just want that little man to end up getting saved, and then if he would, I would appreciate it if he did better than his daddy. See, now this is weird. I haven't run into this issue at all, but this is skewed now. It wasn't skewed before. Huh. I wonder why. We're at 48, 38, 3804, 3804. Makes no sense to me. I'll try to work around it best I can. Got to come back and clean it up, I will. Oops, sorry. If I get to come back and clean it up, I will, but have to work around it. Worst thing that happens is it looks a little skewed. Or maybe I keep working around it and it don't. I'm not entirely convinced that I'm too far off, but it's gotta be something, right? Gotta be something causing this. So it wasn't like that before. I don't know. I'm gonna have to move on with it. Because if not, I'm gonna go back through this, cut it too far down, or pop it off the top. And that's definitely not something I want to do right now. So let me work on this. Seems like every time I do something off camera, it goes off better. So let me do this, and then once we are done with this crown part, we'll move to the next, which is the frosting. All right. So y'all probably can't see it here, but I messed up on a cut on this and have been constantly trying to recut this and do it right. Well, I've cut so far now that I've cut too small of a girdle, and I won't be able to fix it up. So instead of admitting defeat, what we're going to do is we're going to soak this in acetone, and we're going to try this again, and we're going to get it right this time. So let's do that. So we tried to fix it. I even tried to fix it on live stream. Didn't turn out to work so well, so we got this other piece of Roman glass, and I got more coming in the mail. But we're going to try to recut this pattern on this piece of Roman glass and see if we can do that. But that means we have to go through the whole process over again. So let's get to it. Also, with the old piece, what I may do is I may cut that into a standard round brilliant and then give it out to somebody. So we'll see as this keeps moving along. So we're back at where we were now. Hopefully this new one will turn out to be much better. But we're going to go ahead and start trying to cut the crown. And then after that, if everything goes well, then we'll start cutting the frosted bits. And then we'll do the table, and we should be done. So let's get to it. Well, you know what they say, third time's a charm. Well, this little bugger right here started moving on the dop when I started cutting the pavilion, or not the pavilion, the crown for it. Come to find out that no, the epoxy did not actually hold it down all the way. So we're going to cut this thing again from the very beginning, so everything's perfect for the pavilion. And then we are going to try this again to work on the crown. Believe it or not, I was actually doing pretty good on the crown until it started moving. But yeah, so let's go ahead, start cutting this all over again, and I'll show you once we're done with the pavilion, and we will try a different technique to get it fixed onto the dot so we can cut our crown. All right, let's get to it. All right, so we got her transferring over. Hopefully it all sticks. Hopefully it is gonna hold throughout all the cutting process for the crown. She's all transferred over. She's been fixed. Y'all just pray with me. You know, pray that the Lord sees it fit for this to get done. It's been quite a journey. 2 stones, 3 times recutting. It's been a time, y'all. It has been a time, and hopefully we'll get through this and get her done. All right, so let's go ahead and get this water turned on and start hopefully cutting what is for the final time. And for the correct time, the right time, everything's correct and right and good. The crown. Scoot it down. let's keep cutting. All right, I don't want to kind of screw myself over by celebrating early, but we have moved from the 1200 grit plate to the 800 grit plate, and I have a feeling as long as this holds, we might very well get to the finish with the stone. I am super hyped up about this, but I'm also trying to be calm and humble and pay close attention to what I'm doing. I'm barely like touching it for just a few seconds. These are very small facets, so you don't really need much time touching them and going. We're gonna do this plate. We're gonna do the black 50,000 grit plate on there, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the 600 grit lap, and we're gonna cut our frosted cuts into it, and then after the frosted cuts, we're gonna cut our C16 cut, and then we're gonna do the table, and after the table, it's done, right? So we're getting, comparatively, we're getting close to the end, but I am kind of nervous, as well as hyped, but also nervous. So we'll see how this goes. Worst thing that happens is if I can't, because it's kind of flat up top here, if you see. You know what I'm saying? So if we can't do it, what we may do is we may just polish the top here and just polish the table and have it sit just like that, which I think it'll sit beautifully like that either way. But still, you know, you don't want to ruin what you've already done trying to get too fancy with it. So let's go ahead and keep working on this. Put down in the comments below what you think it's going to turn out to be. Also, I know I haven't really been filming a lot of this, but that's because I have been extremely skittish and nervous with this thing ever since the first mishap. So y'all definitely be praying for me. Hopefully the Lord will smile down on me and we'll get this done, and we'll get it done correctly. I know this is a frosted design, but again, if we can't get it frosted, it's not the end of the world. It's just, we will just have to, we'll have to do it with something else. I had to cut the table so flat to re-put it back on there that could have ruined that part for us, but so far the stone is looking pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. The table may be a little big on it, but that's okay. Won't hurt nothing too badly. And especially since this will be going to my beautiful wife. Quick touch. I'll lift it up. Wipe it off with a towel. Now I'm gonna look at it. Yeah, everything's cutting fine so far. So let's just keep rolling with it, and I mean barely touch and go. And it's a good thing I rechecked, because I was about to cut over one that was already cut. Alright, 3302. We're just gonna lower it down a little time. There we go. Just a quick touch. We'll see if that's connecting. Yes. Yes, it is connecting. .46. Definitely connected. 50. Definitely connected. 78. Definitely connected. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to go up to 3804. That's definitely hit. And the reason why I don't think it made such a loud scratch mark is because it's a flatter cut. Yeah, she's looking beautiful now. Alright, we're going to turn it to 14. we're going to go to 33.99. 33.99, and I'm going to move it up again 1, so that way when my hand rests on it, it does do what we want it to do. Go, lift, and down, and then just real quick. There we go. And then 82. There we go. All right, 32. Let's go to 12 first. Because if I keep messing up, I keep messing up with the index sometimes, right? I'll have it on the index and then I won't move it to the next index number for the next rows. And I think I have, but I haven't. So I'm going to try to keep up with that by moving the index first. You know what I mean? And what I'm going to do is just push down, make sure that's good. It went lower, so I definitely don't want to put it fresh on there. I'll lift up and then lower it back down. And you may go, that's a waste of time to do it like that. Why don't you just mess with these now? I like to keep things organized on here because it helps me keep track of everything easier, right? So I got 12. 12 should be related to the 32.93. Drop it down. 32.94 with my hand resting on is 93. There we go. And I'm just going down. There we go. And that's all it took. That's all it took. Also, I'm not pressing too hard because I don't want to. I don't want to put too much of a thing on it. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm not making much sense, but I don't want to hyper focus on something and then mess up my other facets by hyper. So real quick, and we're done, right? I'm gonna do the 84 again real quick, boom, and then and we're gonna do a 34. 44, 34.44. And since that's higher, I can leave it like that. I am going to adjust it so everything sits flush. 34.44. And then, good thing I checked again. 08. Didn't do it that time. Must made a huge oopsie daisy. So 34.44. 08. We're good. There we go. I let that one touch a little bit longer, but I think my brain was just trying to recognize what I was doing for a minute, and I got lost for a second. Alright, we're going to turn it to 16. Man, almost right on it. Man, that was cool. Alright, 31. And I'm being so quiet because the baby's probably sleeping right now, so I definitely don't want to wake him up. Little man needs as much sleep as he can get. So, and my beautiful wife needs as much rest as she can get. Me and my mom's both here, you know, taking care of her. So hopefully it's not too stressful on her, but I know it is somewhat stressful. But she's loving it. I know, because she does not want anybody to hold that baby but me or mom. So she's like, own it, my cuddles. So, and I don't blame her not one bit. He's a handsome little feller too. I mean, handsome. He's gonna be a real lady killer when he gets older. I mean, just a handsome little feller. All right, so that's done there. So our next round, after all that, will be what I would assume would probably be one of the easiest, or I would hope would be one of the easiest, which is the frosted. So let's go ahead and do the frosted. Or not the frosted, the final polish, which is the 50,000 grit. She's looking good so far. I mean, she's looking good. You know, I could complain, but it wouldn't do nothing. It wouldn't do no justice doing it. Alright, so what we need to do is we're going to move back up to 3105 C1. And we're going to start at 28. 28. 3105. Let's see if that'll do it. Yep, that'll do it. Alright. So here we go. 28, 31, 05. I got it on. I'm gonna do it enough just to get that water to run a little bit, so we don't tear up our lap any. 38. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit more. There we go. Let me get this with the washcloth. See, I've always called it a rag growing up. I've always called it a rag. I know people call it a washcloth, but the way I was taught is if it's used for anything other than washing, you call it a rag. So if you're using it to wipe off oil, or you know, like you're outside and you're changing oil or something and you're just wiping yourself off and that's going to be an outside, you know, thing, it's a rag, right? And then, but if you actually use it for like actually cleaning thoroughly, you know, taking a shower, washing your face, things like that, like inside washing, it's a washcloth. What do y'all think about that? And it's just always been the way I talk. So I just call this my rag, but I try to call it washcloth around other people that don't know no better. Or don't know no better, but don't know. That's what I mean. Now that I've explained it, I'm going to start calling it a rag. So, let's see. We got 36. There we go. We got 60. All right, 60. There we go. 68. That. 68. There we go. I moved a little too far past one on the dial. I moved to 70. Fortunately, it was on the 50,000 grit, so it shouldn't do any damage at all when it comes to that. So that's, you know, fortunate. Yeah, let's keep going. 3487. That's higher. We're gonna start on 22. Boom. Boom. Make sure everything's even. Lower it just above. Just gonna lower it down. 3487, that's 22. Let's get a 42 in there. Let's get a 54. 54. Let's get a 74. 74. Now I need to move to 18. And then 3302. 3302. So check it. 3302, 18. Looks like we're pretty good to go. All right. There we go. 18. What we got next? 46. 46 is good. What do we got next? 50. Yep, 50. 50 is good. What do we got next? 78 is good. Now I need to go to 38 and 48. So 3804. 3804. Much higher. So we're gonna lower her down. Just go there. Lower her down a little bit more. Alright, 3804, 48. Let's do it. There we go. There we go. It's that simple. That quick. That simple. That good. Alright. I'm looking. 33.99. We need to go to 14. 33.99. We're at 14. There we go. 33.99, and we are at 14. Alright. Checking. We got 14. We got 34, but when I push down, it's 33.99, so we got that. Alright. But this is significantly lower than where we were before, so I need to raise that up significantly. Lower it down. Tighten her up. I'm going to make sure just one last time that's 14. Yep. Here we go. And there we go. Let's go to 82. 82. There we go. Alright, 329412, which will be 93 once I rest my hand on it. So there we go. 84. Oh Lord, there we go. All right. 08. 34.44. 34.44. 4.5, just because of my hand rest. All right, it's a little above. Back it to the center. Back her down. There we go. 34.45. Once the rest of my hands on, it'll be right. 08. All right, 08. Here we go. There we go. That's all we needed for that one. Let's go 88. That's all I needed for that one too. Oh yeah, she's shining bright too. My Lord, is she shining bright and pretty. And this is where you start to get nervous, right? This is where you're like, please, Lord, don't let me screw up. Please, Lord, do not let me screw up. So, we got our 34, right? So now we're going to go to 31 and 16 to start off with. And this should be our last clear facets for at least this page. Now, we do have another page just below that. I can't really show you these pages all too much because, I mean, somebody's works on there, you know what I mean? You got to buy the book to get a diagram for this. So, if any of the page is showing or any of the numbers, instructions like that, we have to blot it out. But other than that, it's doing pretty fine. So, let's do 31.19. 31.19. 31.20. 16. I'm gonna have to lift this up. Alright. 31.20. Once my hand rests on it, it'll be 31.19. 16. Let's do this. There we go. And the only reason I'm doing that reverse grip like that is so y'all can get at least somewhat of a view of things. I know it's not a great view, but it is the view I can get y'all. There we go. Alright. So that's it for that. Now we're gonna have to think of one of the tough next steps. Do we leave it as is and then polish the table and just move on? Or do we go for it all? Do the frosting on it, which is very cool, but we're also risking a lot with that frosting. Cutting into the stone too much, ruining the pattern, the design. So that's a 16-degree angle, which is pretty steep. See the next page. Yeah, they're all pretty steep angles. So it shouldn't be too bad. Too terrible. But that also means more room for messing up. Things like that. How about this? We get one good look at this thing. One good look. And then I will actually say that this is mission complete for the most part. I would say this is mission complete. So no matter what happens to it, I feel good. But we're going to move on and we're going to do the frosting. Or at least we're going to make an attempt at it. A good attempt. So let me get a close-up view of this underneath the light so y'all can see it before we move on with this. I mean, look at that. She's looking wonderful though. I'm happy. There we are. There it is as is. Why does it not want to focus on what I'm telling it to? I don't know, but there it is. All done. We're, at least for now. We need to do the frosting, then we need to do the table. For right now, she's looking great. So there we go as well. Side view. But yeah, now we're going to take the big risk and do the frosting. Alright, fellas. I think it's time we take the risk and make the plunge. How about that? If y'all haven't said a little prayer for this going right, or at least if it's in the Lord's will for this to get done, it gets done. I'd ask y'all to do that now. This is pretty big. It's pretty big for me, at least. Again, I've never done anything like this before. But I did pray to the Lord. I asked Him to help me. If He would. Told Him that without Him, I'm not able to do anything. And just to have His help now would be great. And even so, if He chooses that something was to go wrong, anything like that, that'd be all right too, because God's got a plan, and one we really don't know, but it's infinitely better than ours. If y'all would, if you could see it for something, it's something y'all would want to do, just give us a quick prayer that this goes correctly. All right, here we go. And that's a little stripe. We're going to look at the little stripe and see what that did. Because I do not need a big frosting on this, right? You don't need like a huge frosting, you know? All right. Let's see. Okay. All right, we're going to move on. That was 13. We're going to move on to the 83. 83. Let's see how that looks. It's a little high. We're going on to 83. A little bit. A little bit more, I think, is needed. A little bit more, I think, is needed. Just a tiny bit, right? Let's see. see if that got us. I definitely got us something. Maybe a little bit more. See if that helped out some. Yeah, there we go. There we go, fellas. There we go. The first crown frosting set is down. Alright, so now we need to take this away. This first page away. I have a feeling this is where it's going to get a little more difficult. But I think we can do it. Alright. We're going to move to 16. 16. We're going to put it at 18.00. 18.00. Let's see what we can do there. So that's a little further up, so there's no need to lower it back down, really. Or you know what I mean, to raise it up and then lower it down. It's already raised up. So let's look at what we got here. There we go. 16 and 18. Let's see what we got here. Just kind of see what we got going on. Yeah, I may need to move one more. Just a little smidge. A little smidge is maybe all I need left. That's it. That's it, fellas. Alright. Let's move to 80. Whew. Alright. Alright, we're doing pretty good, y'all. So, and then the next one, I know we're going to C10. And that C10 is going to want to go to C3. And C2/C1. Okay. It looks like everything's going well so far, though. Looks like everything's going well. Alright, and that was 18. Alright, we're doing good, fellas. We're doing good. We're doing good. We're getting there. I'm a little nervous because I may have overcut one, but I think I can fix that with no problem. Especially with these frostings, I think I can just fix that real quick. Alright, we need to do 1720, which is lower. 1720. Alright, 1720. Here we go. So make sure it's nice and tight. And these I'm actually going to put right on because they're pretty, I mean, they're pretty steep. So I really have no need resting my hand on it and putting too much weight on it. 17 on the dial. 17. All right. And we are going to lift this up. And then we're going to drop it back down. Just make sure 17, 20, 17. Now is not the time to get cocky or complacent. And I'm just moving until I hear that scraping. We're going to look at this a little bit more. Gotta scrape it a little bit more to see if I can find it. Yep, I think I found it pretty good. All right, so that is going to go to C10. C10's or C11 is going to go to C3 and C2. Let's see. It's going to touch C2. So we got that. All right, boys. Boys and gals. If any gals are listening, boys and gals, we're getting there. All right, I think that's it, y'all. I think that's all we need for C11. C12, C12. All right, so we do need to do 2 C12s and a C13. All right, what was I gonna do? All right, already done C11, so I need to move to C12. And that's a 14-degree angle. Okay, so let's move to 28. Let's get this thing up. Let's get this thing up. Let's get it up just a little bit. That's one way to start scraping. Let's see what it did. Well, fortunately for us, it was right. It was right. So. There we go. All right, next one. We did 28. Now we need to do 36, and we'll just keep it where it is. That did not do enough, so I need to lower it down. That did it, though. That did it. All right. Next group, 60. 60. Not a lot of scraping on 60. Not a lot. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. Kind of get a little depth going. There we go. There we go, fellas. There we go. All right. Don't get cocky, though. Don't get cocky. We still got a few more. We still got a few more facets to do now. And then we got the table. And I ain't gonna lie, the table can be a little worrisome. I think we're doing it, though. I do got a pinched inside there, though. I think that's on the 79. I think that's on the 79. Let's go back to our 60 real quick and just broaden that out just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. It's granted, people won't be able to see this, but still, I would like it to look nice. So let's go back to the 79 and do a very, very, very gentle touch up. 17, 20. 17, 20. There we go. So it's higher. We're at 79, 17, 20. And it's higher. Let me make sure that this is the one we want. It is. It is absolutely the one we want. Alright. Let's make sure it's 20 though. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lower it down like this. And just scrape and listen. See if that worked. Yeah, we got it. I think we got her. I'm gonna do a little bit more, just kind of line it up where it needs to go. But I think that was what we needed. Yep, for sure. All right. Okay, 15. 15, y'all. 15. We got 47 and 49. 15 degrees. 47. I'm going to place that there. I'm actually going to lower that down just a little bit too. Alright. Raise it up. Raise it up. Here we go. And I'm actually going to run the water just a tiny bit more. And kind of just soak it up again. Alright, here we go. I'm going to lower it down. We're at 1500. Or I'm sorry, 15.00. 47 and 49s are numbers. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. Do a little bit more. There we go. All right. Glory be to God, y'all. Glory be to God on this one, because I ran out of talent long ago when it comes to this stone. So, frosted's done, fellas. Frosted's done. I know y'all can't really see it right now because we got all this Loctite 480 on there, but this was definitely nerve-wracking. But the frosting is done. Now we just need to do the table after we do the extra little divot for the 14 or the 18 degree cut. And that will be 18.15 at a 48 degree or 48 index. Let's do 48. Roll it over. Tighten that up. 48 degree. Or 48 on the index, 15 degree. This is much higher up because the plate sits higher. So we will have to lift it up a lot higher. We're going to lower it down. So no actual power of the motor there, just that. Granted, I know most of y'all will not be able to see it. Because it's so minute, but it did. I'll be daggummed if it didn't put that little indent in there for the top of the heart. I'll be daggummed if it didn't. Let's go ahead and take this off. Drop it down. This will be the final polish plate. Well, for that facet. Next we'll have to do our 45 degree. We'll have to do our 45 degree adapter after this and polish the table. That is no big to do. Oh man, y'all. This is looking so good. I gotta calm down. Because if I don't, I'm gonna jinx myself and I'm gonna ruin it. And the last thing I want to do is ruin it. You know what I mean? Last thing we want to do is ruin this. This right here is my 45 degree adapter. Pretty cool little tool. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set my angle at 45 degrees on the nose. Right? And then I am going to take this away. Because hopefully everything goes right. It's no longer needed. But I got it at 91 on the index, 45 degrees here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stone out. I'm going to take this right here. And I'm going to, there's a little place to kind of screw it down in here. There's a bunch of little places, but this is a little place I like to put it to screw it down. Right there. I'm going to take my Allen wrenches out. There's these little Allen wrench screws here. I'm going to loosen all three of these up. Take this out, right? Alright, so now this is all good except that this is what I like to do to try to get the best and most even set on my Allen or on my table adapter, right? I'm gonna move this back just a little bit. This is my master lap, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lower it down because I can rely on my master lap being flat, right? So I can just lower it down, and with these 2 screws here, right, I can just tighten them up. And that gives me a more finished flat tighten. And once one is tightened up all the way, right, I don't have to tighten the other one up. Now, since we're getting down to there, I'm going to tighten this down right here, and then that way it doesn't move. You know what I mean? Alright, because if this isn't tightened down, the plate could possibly wobble. I don't think it will, but it could possibly. It's just over, I guess, through an overabundance of caution. But right now I'm dealing with something that I really do not want to screw up at the last very possible minute. So, and there we go. It's on our 45-degree adapter. What that'll do is that'll allow us to cut the table. I know this don't seem like much to other people, but this is, at least for me, a pretty big deal. So, I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of get that everybody would be like, oh, what's the big deal? Let's do this. Let's see where it's going. So I see that there's one side that is getting a lot more polish than the other. I'm still gonna try to see what I can do about that. It seems to be that front's getting a lot more cut than what I want to. And I might very well have to rotate it, but it will then cut in different areas, different ways. Yeah, see, like that. You don't want that. You cut too far down, you're going to cut past everything. But at this point, I'll be honest, as long as we get it done, I'm not going to complain too much. We get it done right. I'm not going to complain too terribly much. So we may just have to rotate it and turn it around. I'm going to have to do another quick pull on that cheater. See if we can't get her to line up right. Yeah. Yep. All right, gentlemen. I think we may have found our magic spot. Oh, I spoke too soon. One more full pull. Probably. So 1 1/4. Let's see how that looks. There we go. One more. Half a pull. Just to get her looking pretty. There we go. All right, we found our spot. We found our spot. We found our spot. Next one is the 80 or the 8,000 grit in the 50. Let it dry. Let it dry. It's gonna need a little bit of love. I understand that. Let her dry. Right, so now on the right side, she's looking a little more rough for wear. So I may have to turn it right, just to kind of clean her up. So turn the cheater right some. Just to clean her up. A little bit more, maybe put it down a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. I mean, she's starting to clear up. She's starting to clear up for sure. Still need to go right with it more though. I don't want to turn that far right, but if it works at this point, it works. Gentlemen, we are almost done. I'm going to clean it up some more. We're just going to touch it up. We're just going to touch it up. May not be able to see the scratches or anything on there. I don't know. I don't know if y'all can or not. But I'm trying to make sure there's hardly any. Alright, gents. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Alright. 50,000 grit. The last one. 50,000 grit. And we shall be done with this project. Other, grant you, then getting it set. I have a friend of mine who can set it. It's Jacob the Jeweler. All right, here we go. Here we go, y'all. Let's see. Oh yeah! Holy cow! Look at that. That ain't no joke, y'all. Just get it nice and polished. Just get it nice and polished. That's all we need to do now. Get it nice and polished. Son. She's pretty. I'll tell you that right now. She's pretty. And ain't no joke. This little lady ain't no joke. Golly. I don't think I've ever done anything so pretty in my life. As in like faceting or lapidary. anything like that. It's enough to make you wonder, you know. You go through all this trouble. I'm going through all this trouble for a stone I ain't even gonna sell. But then I'm like, well, it's going to my wife. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm going through all this trouble. It's going to my wife, and I want her to be able to enjoy what I make. You know. So there we go, y'all. Holy cow. I'm kind of glory be to God on this one. I'm telling you, I could not have done this on my own. I could not have done this on my own. All the glory goes to God on this one. Golly, look at that thing. I'm sorry, look at that thing. Isn't that beautiful? So that's it right there. All these hours and days ending up for this. It'll look a lot better once we get it off the top. We get all that epoxy and everything behind it off, because that stops light from refracting in and out. So let's go ahead and get this thing acetoned and get it off, and then show my wife. So this is what it looks like. 2,000 years in the making, but we got it done. And not only that, but it looks beautiful. That frosting's a little less known than I would like it to be. Doesn't stand out as much, but it still looks good. I ain't going to complain for my first one. Let's show the wife after it's all set. So this is it all set in the cross. I'm super excited about it. I hope y'all like it too. Leave some comments down below. This is really fun for me because I never thought I would be this close to anything that maybe Jesus touched or got near in any way. So I'm super excited about this. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Be safe. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.